It's a good AGam in Kansas morning. Good morning. Let's take a look and see what's coming up today. First Cropping Systems Specialist Dr. Ignacio Ciampiti discusses the factors affecting corn production, including planting date, seeding rates, nutrients, and water. Next, Lee Hart shares a horse training tip. Grain economist Dan O'Brien talks about outlook versus profitability in corn production. Then cow-calf extension specialist Bob Weaver explores the genetic aspects cattle producers should consider as they build back their herds. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Central National Bank. Put our ag professionals to work for you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ignacio Ciampiti, Cropping System Crop Production Specialist, K-State Department of Agronomy. Today we are in our last Kansas Corn School. So these were a series of 2 schools that we just put together with the Kansas Corn Commission and DuPont Pioneers, one of our main sponsors. The goal of the schools was trying to summarize some of the information that we have today about corn practices, economics, weed control, and then also fertilization for providing this information to farmers. One of the first points and main things that I would like to talk to you today is about limiting factors and what are the main limiting factors in corn. The idea of my presentation on the schools was basically trying to touch base on at least a couple of factors and show how, for example, a planting date, plant population, row spacing, plant density, crop rotation, tillage, soil fertility, nutrient management, and water use are main limiting factors. And I will try to touch base briefly in some of them. The goal is just to show how complex corn production can be, and how when we are trying to maximize yields, we need to make sure that we are playing and taking a balance of all the approaches, all factors into consideration. First one is what I would like to start is about crop rotations and tillage. And sometimes we tend to minimize the inputs and the weight of those 2 factors. But we have very good information showing that the crop rotation, trying to get not continuous corn, but trying to get some rotation corn, soybean, is really helping maximizing corn yields with the idea and the goal of a better weed control, and the idea of the goal of much better, for example, less disease pressure. So, and the idea of also having not so much residue that is impeding plant emergence and uniformity in corn. And why I would like to talk also about uniformity in corn. When you take a look to corn as compared with sorghum and soybeans, corn is a very unique one. Each individual plant, it really produces yields. So if we are missing one plant, we don't have any ability for the plant to branch, as in soybeans, or to tiller, as in sorghum. So anytime that we are missing one plant from the beginning of the season, we will be missing yields. So the idea of having a good control of a plant density, how many plants and the plants to be equal distance, plant depth, how we are controlling the optimum planting depth, and then also row spacing. Those are maybe the 3 main factors when you are thinking about planting management. And I'm always trying to emphasize when you are thinking about planting management, we are deciding the planting date. If we are trying to maximize yield, planting corn as early as possible. And the question is how early you can go. And main 2 factors that we need to define there are soil temperature. We need to go at least with 55, 60 degrees in the soil, at least at the 4-inch. And also make sure that you are not going too early just to not to be impose the corn with a late freeze damage. Those are the main 2 factors of the planting day decisions. Most of the times here in Northeast Kansas, we are seeing planting dates that they are trying to move a little bit earlier. We are trying to go even by the first week of April, April 10th in some areas. So stay here with us. After the break, we will be talking about seeding rates, nutrients, and water, and how these factors are affecting corn production.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan from Doc Talk. If you miss us on Monday morning, you can join us at 6:30 a.m. every Sunday morning on RFD TV. Doc Talk has a national following. We're sure glad that you joined us on Mondays, but if you miss us and you want to catch us out on a Sunday morning, get up at 6:30 a.m. and we'll be right there, RFD TV, 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I'll see you down the road.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
AGam in Kansas is brought to you in part by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Welcome back. My name is Ignacio Ciampiti. I'm in Cropping System Crop Production Specialist at Kansas State University, Department of Agronomy. And I would like to continue with you just talking about seeding rates, nutrients, and water, and how these factors are affecting corn production. When you are deciding about row spacing, and the question that I have most of the times is about, can we narrow rows? Can we use 15 inches rather than 30 inches? The answer to that question always is depends. And I have at least two questions that I would like to follow up with that point. It's like, first one is, what is your yield potential? And when I'm talking about yield potential, what I would like to ask to the farmers is, what is your maximum yield level? Are you working a 200 bushel scenario? Are you working a 250 bushel scenario? Or are you working, I'm trying to get only 150 or 100 bushels? And why I would like to ask that is just because we have information showing that maximizing corn yields, getting 200 and 250 bushel, in that case, early light interception, narrow rows, is really impacting corn production. In the situations that we are going into 150 or less than 150 bushels per acre, in those situations, I mean, narrowing rows is really not affecting that much the corn yield and productivity. That's one of the main things. I mean, and again, everything depends on the uniformity. If you are going to a narrow row spacing, make sure that you have a good planter, that you can just make sure that we have equal distance, good uniformity, and the plants are coming all at the same time. Another big point for next coming year, seeing the price of corn, will be the plant population. How many seeds per acre? And in that case, one of the only points that I would like to touch base is on optimizing seeding rate. We are not talking anymore about trying to push seeding rate really high, but we are trying to talk about the idea of optimizing. When is the moment that you are getting your most net profits and benefits from using an optimum seed population? And we have studies around the area showing that around 32,000 and 34,000 seeds per acre in these situations here in northeast Kansas, when we are trying to increase productivity, tend to be optimum. And we are talking about probably yields of 200 and 250 bushels. So make sure that when you are working in different scenarios, in different yield levels, make sure that you are working in an optimal population and you are not really being paying an excess of a seed cost, which in fact will probably not provide more yields. Then the last factors that I would like to emphasize are on the nutrient management. Always remember, increasing yields is really connected to increasing nutrient uptake. So every time that we are trying to move forward yields, we need to make sure that we are applying more fertilizer. Okay? Every time that you are trying to produce a 250 bushel corn, make sure that you are trying to provide a similar equal amount of fertilizer in the form of nitrogen, and if needed, depending on the soil test, phosphorus and sulfur. Okay. Last point, so when we are talking about the water use, we need to always remember that corn is specifically very sensitive around the flowering time. So when you're trying to maximize yield, we're always thinking how we can place pollination and flowering time in corn in a really good environment, and that's very critical. So corn and water use is maximized at that specific moment, and it's the moment that the corn needs water and is at the maximum and the peak. So the question that we always have is how we can place pollination in a much better environment, and the answer for that is like take a look to the last 5 years and try to investigate and do a little bit of research on your field. What was the planting dates and what was the situation in the last 5 years in terms of rain, precipitation around, the month of June, July, and August. That's main recommendation when we are thinking about the water use. And those are some of the main limiting factors that I will be talking, on the corn schools. And basically, again, the message that I would like try to convey is like make sure when we are trying to play in high yielding systems that you are taking care of not only just one factor, but taking care of a series of factors just for increasing crop productivity. Thanks.
This week's training tip is called hips and shoulders, aka the dance. In this exercise, we'll build off of what we did last week. We'll ask the hips to disengage, then we'll remove our inside leg and we'll add our outside leg and ask the shoulders to step through. So we'll walk off, we'll slide our left hand down, add our left leg, push that hip around, halfway around, then add the outside leg and ask him to step through. Once again, we'll walk off, right hand, right leg, push that hip halfway around, take your right leg off, add your left leg, and ask him to step your shoulders through. As you noticed, I never change positions of my hands. I bring my hands into my pocket, and I just use my legs to move my horse there. This is the hips and shoulders. Look forward to next week on our training tips when we'll start demonstrating how to come out of the hips and shoulders and back up.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need. Don't forget to register for the 2015 Kansas Commodity Classic to be held on February 6th in Manhattan. Visit kansaswheat.org to learn more.
Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Well, I'm here contributing to speaking at the KSU Corn School held in Heston here on the 9th of January, talking about grain market outlook on the one hand and profitability prospects on the other. Of course, I think an overview of what the market holds kind of starts with the large record crop here in the U.S. and large crops overseas. And by the time you look at the supply-demand balance of things, we've seen with growth in supplies, still decent demand, but quite with the large supply numbers, we've seen prices now in cash markets fall below $4. A lot of what we'll be talking about today has to do with what our cost of production is, and we're at the place where cost of production is probably $4.25, something like that, maybe $3.90 for highly efficient producers, and we're seeing cash prices $3.60, $3.70, $3.80, something like that, at least at about the same level. So, and that's where we stand right now. Prospects really for 2015 will be part of what we talk about today too. Futures prices about $4.18, $4.20. By the time you look at what could happen with a few less corn acres, a few more soybean acres next year, we're probably in the same $4 to $4.50 range for cash prices. So I think by the time you bring that together, you're probably looking at about a break-even year with what we'd project and could understand right now for what could happen off into the fall of 2015. Of course, the world's quite a volatile place right now, with energy markets up and down right now. International issues coming into play, volatility in currency markets, still uncertainty as to what the size of crops will be. But if you just shoot right down the middle, expect to have average production, no major big surprises, we'd be anticipating a year heading off into 2015. By the time we work through our, a fairly large crop, not as large as this year, but probably 13.3, 13.5 billion bushels for U.S. corn. You're looking at about, again, 420, 430, 440 prices if that plays out. And again, just at or slightly above cost of production. And I don't doubt that ag producers in their minds think, okay, I hear what you're saying. How does that affect me in terms of cash rent and profitability and finances? Well, if you have basically an at or slightly above cost break-even year, you're pretty much going, I think we'd anticipate moving sideways, not a exemplary year for profits, but really more one where we're moving at level cash rents and land values off into the future, and waiting for what could happen to surprise us in the next 2, 3, or 4 years. But as of right now, just betting the odds, it looks like we're looking for level profits and some challenges wherever we'd have a short crop heading off into 2015. Of course, on our KSU Ag Manager website, www.agmanager.info, we put out weekly summaries for grain markets for corn and grain, sorghum and wheat and soybeans, and try to monitor, stay in touch with where markets are going and where profitability prospects are. And of course, we have various radio outlets, AGam and others that we work with as well. So, but probably the main place to go find our AgriCon related information would be on that departmental website, agmanager.info.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM.
If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 5:50 a.m. on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Yeah, my name's Bob Weber, and I'm cow-calf extension specialist at K-State in Manhattan, and recently participated in our Winter Ranch Management Series, and presented some information concerning some of the genetic aspects we'd like producers to think about as they build and mate replacement heifers. One of the things that's really important, obviously, in producing heifers is making breeding decisions that minimize the potential for dystocia or calving difficulty as those heifers become cows. And a couple of things that we want producers to think about are some of the selection tools that are available related to calving ease. And those two EPDs, or expected progeny differences, are calving ease direct and maternal calving ease, or calving ease maternal. And those two different EPDs have different sort of application points in our selection decisions. We encourage producers to think about both calving ease direct and calving ease maternal when they're picking bulls to be the sires of replacement heifers, so which bulls they're going to have replacement heifers out of in their production system. And it's important to keep both of those EPDs in mind because they have a negative genetic relationship between them. So if we only select for increased calving ease direct performance, or the ability of a sire's calves to be born directly, or a dam's calves to be born directly, over time we'll actually decrease some of the maternal aspects of calving ease performance. So that's why it's important to keep calving ease maternal as part of our selection criteria in selecting those bulls. Calving ease maternal then is the ability of a sire's daughters to calve, or their calving performance. It's the maternal aspects. It's kind of like the relationship between weaning weight EPD and milk EPD. They both result in calf performance, but one's a maternal aspect and the other one's a direct calf aspect. The other things we'd like producers to think about in making those calving ease decisions is we have the Sunflower Supreme Heifer Program has established criteria for calving ease direct and recommendations for maternal calving ease for the sires of potential replacement heifers. And those EPDs get updated annually and will be again released here in late January. And typically those percentile ranks represent bulls that are typically somewhere in the top third to top quarter of each respective breed for calving ease performance. That helps us assure that the products that we produce and the replacement females that go out into the marketplace have adequate calving ease genetics. As we think about selecting replacement females, choosing heifers that are born early in their calving season have been shown to have a better chance and better likelihood of sustained reproductive success because they have a tendency to also calve early in their subsequent calving seasons. So picking heifers that are born early, so they're chronologically the oldest heifers in your replacement heifer pen, they'll have a tendency to be more reproductively successful over time. And the value of that is that heifers that, if you choose one that's born late in the calving season, and she ends up breeding late in her calving season or breeding season as a replacement heifer, subsequently calves late, she only has maybe one or two opportunities to breed in a conventional breeding system, so there's a high likelihood she won't sustain her productivity beyond a year or two as a mature cow. Another part of the genetics of replacement heifers we encourage people to think about is the value of producing and keeping crossbred heifers. We know from extensive research that crossbred females have longer productive lives. They exhibit what's called maternal heterosis, and that has a positive impact on a ranch's bottom line through increasing the longevity and reproductive efficiency of those cows over their lifetime. Current numbers indicate the value of that heterosis or hybrid vigor from a maternal aspect in the production system is worth somewhere between $200 and $250 per cow per year. So it has a real economic consequence and value in our production system.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.